Hey guys, welcome back to Trek on the Tube and welcome back to yet another Star Trek review and Easter eggs video. Today we're talking about Lower Decks Season 1 Episode 5, Cupid's Errant Arrow. I know this video is a bit late. I usually try to get them out by Tuesdays, but it's been a busy week, so today it is. Also, yesterday was Star Trek Day, so happy belated Star Trek Day to everyone. Alright, let's jump right in. And now, am I going to say it? Am I going to say it yet again? Is this my new favorite episode? Yes, no, I don't know. I don't know. It's too hard. It's too difficult a choice to make. Honestly, all I can say is that every entry into this new show has been solid so far, and episode 5 was no exception. I think my favorite episode just depends on my mood at any given time. Anyway, starting with the technical aspects this time around, I found the directing to be very good. The camera angles used were dynamic and innovative, the lighting was on point, and so I congratulate director Kim Arndt on that. I'd never seen her name come up before actually researching this episode, but IMDb lists her as a storyboard artist for several other shows, so I'm thinking maybe that's what contributed to her understanding of how to set up animated shots. Then again, what do I know? In any case, it all looked great, so shout out to her. The animation was also, as usual, slick and crisp, and the art design was wonderful as well. I absolutely loved the look of the collapsing moon, the nearby planets and platforms. It all captured my imagination in true Star Trek fashion. The aliens of the week we were dealing with were nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, they worked, but the design was nothing exceptional. I don't understand why this guy was red and the others weren't. That puzzles me, but it's nothing worth complaining about. Funny thing is, very much like every other iteration of Star Trek, Lower Decks is now defining its own style of alien. Yes, they're animated, but putting that aside for a minute, just by looking at this design, we can instantly tell it's clearly a Star Trek Lower Decks alien. Special mention to Jack Quaid's vocal performance, because damn did he deliver some good Boimler. I mean, everyone is good in this show. I haven't had a single problem with the voice acting so far, but Quaid particularly stood out to me here. The panicked, sad, distressed, confused, melting pot of emotions Boimler vocally exuded every time something didn't go to plan was impeccable. Jack Quaid did a fantastic job. Also, Boimler's full name is Bradwood, and I love that. From a story perspective, the episode worked for me. On one hand, we got a classic Star Trek plotline, something very science fiction to us, and yet seemingly mundane to them, the controlled implosion of a moon. But then we also got the misadventures of Rutherford and Tendi, as well as Boimler's girlfriend. All three individual stories worked for me. I enjoyed seeing Tendi and Rutherford's relationship develop a little more. We finally got to see another side of Mariner, even if she was her usual level of intense. And almost as if to counter my comment about Captain Freeman from last week's episode, this time she actually got things done and didn't look like a fool while doing so. The two small things I would complain about if, I asked and if I had to talk about them would be, first, the parasite latched onto the back of Boimler's head. I was a bit disappointed Bob didn't actually like Brad for who he was. I mean, sure, I was happy they didn't make Mariner right in believing the girlfriend was a dangerous alien of some kind, but, I still feel like what they did was take the win away from Boimler, even if they didn't give a full win to Mariner. So, yeah, I think there should have been no parasite, and simply she liked him for who he was. They still could have broken up at the end due to, not being on the same ship. I just would have liked to see Boimler get that win. The second thing is, and this isn't a Lower Decks specific problem, but the writers wrote their characters into a near impossible situation with this negotiation regarding the moon, but then opted for an easy out by making a joke about how there were only two people on whatever planet it was, and the needs of the many thus outweigh the needs of the few. It makes it all very simple. I'm not saying it's lazy, because I truly do not believe for an instant that anyone writing this show is lazy. I'm just saying it's a bit of an easy out. Maybe finding a way to replace the collapsing moon with an equally dense, artificially created object could have been a solution. That way the red guy's planet would have been safe from the pollution. And then maybe they could have deposited some of the original moon dust on the object for those that wanted to worship. I don't know. You get the point. All I'm saying is, sometimes in Star Trek, the episodes write themselves out of moral and ethical dilemmas that are very complicated, in, easy ways. I suppose just because the episode has to end, and it's a bit of a shame. Overall, though, as I said earlier, I loved the episode. I thought all three plots worked well together. The pacing is good. It's ultra fast, and yet we get to see more and longer beauty shots than in both the modern live-action Star Trek shows that we currently have. The jokes worked well, from Boy Size Small to Mariner's request being denied over the comm by some frustrated officer. I personally call bullshit on Mariner's little story there. The backstory that I call bullshit on that. I don't think that happened. I think she made the whole alien lizard thing up just to scare Boimler, but other people don't think so. Wife on the Tube, Fathery from Text Trek, they believe her story 100%, and they think that that's the reason why she's protecting her precious little Bradwood. I mean, it makes sense. What other reason could there be for her to protect him so much? She couldn't have a crush on him. Dear God, I hope they didn't do that. I hope they don't do that. Yeah, but I call bullshit. It feels made up. All right, good episode. Thumbs up. It's now time to move on to the Easter eggs and references part of the video. This time, let's begin with everything mentioned but not seen. Boimler says Bob is as real as a hopped-up Q on Captain Picard's day, which is a stab at the relationship Q and Picard seemed to have throughout the run of The Next Generation. Captain Picard Day, by the way, was something celebrated by the children on the Enterprise D in that very same show, and it is now celebrated in real life by Star Trek fans. Mariner mentions the Phylosian in Tactical. The Phylosians were a plant species first seen in the animated series. I've been hoping to see one again someday. Maybe we will. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. When coming up with theories or possible true identities for Boimler's girlfriend, Mariner goes over a huge list of things, including a Romulan spy. We've seen a lot of those before, most notably this one in The Next Generation. A Salt Succubus, which is a reference to this hideous thing in the original series, an android, the most famous one being Data, a changeling, like for example Odo from Deep Space Nine. She then mentions she could be one of those sexy people in rompers who murders you for going on the grass, which is most likely a reference to what is, in my opinion, one of the most awkward Next Generation episodes to watch. Boimler talks about a Kirk sundae with Trip Tucker sprinkles on top. Kirk was a famous captain from the original series. Trip was a famous engineer from Enterprise. We hear mention of the Breen, which are a species mostly featured in Deep Space Nine, but look like they were jacked straight out of Star Wars. In that little flashback sequence that I call bullshit on, we got when Mariner told her story. One officer talks about how Data has an evil brother, and that brother has teamed up with the Borg. That's a reference to the two-part Next Generation episode Descent, which, if I'm honest, isn't exactly the best two-part of The Next Generation has to offer. Mariner then points out there's a new thing every week with those guys, which is a meta joke about the episodic nature of The Next Generation show. Tendi and Rutherford find out the password to this guy's pad is Riker. Riker is, well, Riker. The guy to whom the pad belongs mentions, among other things, a Dyson sphere. You can look up some real-world information on that if you want. It's all very interesting. In Star Trek, we have seen one before in The Next Generation. There's dialogue by Captain Freeman about the sixth moon becoming the fifth, because post this mission, one will be destroyed. It may not be a direct reference, but I'm thinking this has to be a nod to Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. There's a similar issue in that movie involving a certain Ceti Alpha 5 and a certain Ceti Alpha 6. It's a whole thing. Moving on to the visual tie-ins, the opening shot of the moon collapsing immediately reminded me of Praxis, the moon on which a somewhat minor mishap occurred in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. The moon here isn't just collapsing on itself, though it also has a decaying orbit, which is something we've seen before in The Next Generation. Boimler arrives with gifts for his Bob. One of those is basically Geordie LaForge, but as a teddy bear. The ship the Cerritos partners up with is called the Vancouver, which, as we all know, is a city in the tropical isles of Canada, well known for its long, sandy beaches and clear blue waters. Every shuttle on the Vancouver, by the way, is named after a neighborhood in said city. And this is poutine, the closest thing Earth has to gare. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's a traditional meal, a traditional way of preparing and eating fries in Quebec. At one point, Mariner grabs an EV suit and jumps from one ship to one platform. As I was watching the episode, I said she pulled a Burnham. Well, because Burnham does something similar in Discovery, but we've also seen Data pull basically the same move in Nemesis. This is Deep Space Nine. These are uniforms that our beloved Starfleet officers wore throughout some of Star Trek Deep Space Nine and some of the Next Generation movies. This is an Olympic-class starship. Shout out to Starfleet Boy because he absolutely loves this ship. Just don't tell him that it's ugly. Mariner has a conspiracy theory board on which can be seen, and, some of this she actually talks about, what she calls a Dothian, a red-eyed shape-shifting monstrous creature from the Next Generation, a surgically altered Cardassian spy. Cardassians are a big thing in Deep Space Nine. A transporter clone, the most famous that comes to mind is Thomas Riker. A Suliban, the worst villains in all of Star Trek. They are heavily featured in Enterprise. Oh yeah, I would much rather see a damn Kazon than a Suliban any day. This is a Romulan. This is the actual salt monster we talked about earlier. This is a Sung-type android before it chooses its gender and physical appearance. We saw that in the Next Generation. These are Binars, a strange people we only saw once in the Next Generation also. There's also a whale, probably calling back to Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. This is, I'm thinking, a Vendorian from the animated series, and also we got one a few episodes ago in Lower Decks. The two female Klingons remind us of the Duras sisters. I mean, clearly, they have the same boobs. The same tits. They have the same breasts. They have the same cranial ridges. Moving right along, people are saying this is a Xindi reptilian. I'm saying it's not. But then, I don't know what else it could be. It just doesn't look Xindi reptilian to me. It looks too aquatic, but anyway. We finished this all off with the parasite itself. We've never seen this one specifically in Star Trek before, but do note that parasites do come up now and then in the franchise. And that's it. That's all of it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your patience. As I said earlier, this is a bit late, and I'm sorry for that, but this week was a bit hectic. There was a lot of family things going on, and then a lot of work, and for some reason I thought I was capable of putting out an original series review, so that took up time as well. In any case, as I said, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. You can support this channel on Patreon, help us reach our goal and upgrade this whole setup. That's it. That's all of it. Live long and prosper. You're the best.